IPMNation.com.
Counterpunch Media Live in 3, 2, 1.
Live from the Counterpunch Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy on IPMNation.com. If you're not going to Mortal Up, why not just stay in bed?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is not a drill.
All-Natural Being. Warning, All-Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
What are you going to do? You know what? You'd think after this time, welcome, hello, 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 hello. You're hanging out now, and we're very glad to have you here for the 700, I'll explain that later, the 455th episode of the number one rated all-natural being here on IPMNation.com, and of course my trusty sidekick, the gong, heard round the world, gets more fan mail, more kind of email than you'd believe. We like to think of this little show as radio that sparks your smart, broadcasts that build your strong, and unleash your legendary, because make no mistake, as you know, I believe, we all believe, if you're still here, you have a legend to let loose, so let's get on with it. We're serving up the best thoughts in the history of thinking simply to that end. So what do you say? Here's your opportunity to mortal up, to crush your cant and nail your critics, all in the same time. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And some breaking news this morning, as you may have heard over on Facebook. We've instituted a mandatory. It's written in. The attorneys called last night. We got Ashley on the phone. Everyone's busy working it out. But we've initiated a 10-hour cooling off period. And I do not resuscitate. In that scientists recently have decided or found out, right, that they can keep pig brains alive for an extra 5 minutes, right? Post-mortem, 5 minutes, pig brains. I go, look, I need a little bit of a cooling off period for the do not resuscitate. Just give me at least 10 hours before you pull the plug. Or should that happen? You never can tell. You got to be prepared, right? Safety first, or whatever. Apparently I'm blending mottos there. Safety first, always be prepared, whatever you're going to do. So that's what I wanted to make mention of this morning for everyone that was concerned, mostly family members, really. A couple other friends called and said, look, what are we going to do about this 10-hour cooling off period? It's been instituted, so I feel a lot easier, right? I just feel I'm at peace with the decision. Give me 10 hours, and then we'll go from there. All right. Again, welcome to All Natural Being. And this morning we got a lot of cool things going on. But one, let me say, if it's something that you follow, if it's something that you believe in, happy Good Friday, right? You all know the gig, Good Friday. This means in the Christian circles that Easter is coming up. Some of the Christian circles, Easter's coming up on Sunday. So happy Good Friday to you as well. I just wanted to make mention of a couple different things. So this is the 700 and whatever I just said a little while ago. I'm going to miss this amnesia. The 755th, let's say. The 754th. What is with me this morning? 455th 455th show of All Natural Being. We're going to do one more show. I'm thinking Monday morning might be a 1-hour show. We might do 7 to 8 a.m. Monday morning to say goodbye and, sayonara, farewell, all the rest of that stuff for the cultural appropriation police. Yes, I said sayonara. So Monday will be a special 1-hour show. We got some pretty cool guests and everything else because starting Tuesday, which would be 455, 450, our 457, 58, 59, our 460, and then some there out are going to be pre-recorded shows. So I've never done anything like that before, a pre-recorded show. Well, I mean, other than every show is pre-recorded. If you're listening, thank you for doing so. If you're listening on Spotify, a shout out to the people at Spotify that I met yesterday at the store. Thank you very much. iHeartRadio, iTunes, if you're listening pre-recorded, or, our on-demand podcasts, if you will. Oh, speaking of podcasts, I did I had a blast yesterday. I did a podcast, and my very first, so this is audio, video, the whole shit match, my very first ever audio video podcast, and I did it with Pradeep Sangha from mailpodcast.com, not mail like post office, mail, M-A-L-E, podcast.com, and I had just a blast hanging out with Pradeep and his crew yesterday, so I'll get some more information as to when that's going to air. What else? There was something else I was going to say. Oh, I should mention this as well. Thhank you to everyone, and I sincerely mean it. We broke $6,000 overnight on the Brian Brain Trust, the GoFundMe thing started by Sue B. McCann. Sue, thank you again very much. And we broke, after just a little over a month, 530, I believe it is, some odd shares on Facebook alone. So thank you all so very much. And again, we broke 6K, so that's great news. I super appreciate it. All right, good morning to Janice. Good morning to Jennifer. And to Kathy, good morning. I made it today. We're very, very happy to have you, my friend. Happy, happy, happy. Ina, nice to see you. Good morning to you as well. And Jennifer, where are you on this? On your latest photo? I saw something the other day where you're, like 250 million photos finished behind you, or some number. So I wanted to see if you could post maybe a link here in the thread, so you let everybody see exactly what it is that you're working on. Good morning, also to my brother Ian. Ian, nice to see you. How's everything going across the pond, as they say? Hope all's well. And I'll be honest with you, everything in the States, Ian, has been consumed yesterday with the release of the Mueller, however it's pronounced. I like to think of it as Bueller. That guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off who's taking rent. Yeah, I guess you can't tell. I had kind of a tough night overnight, swelling-wise, so my mind just isn't with me this morning. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he would say he was taking roll call, and he'd go, Bueller. So I'd like to say Mueller, if that's how it's pronounced. But Ian, you have to give us an idea what's going on with Brexit. It doesn't even make the top byline here anymore. It's very sad.
You're listening to the #1 all-natural being with Brian Brawdy
on IPMNation.com. The Bride.
On the docket for this morning, life certainly is an uphill battle when you let your mind's eye become the ultimate enemy. So knock it off.
I'll knock it off already. I like that. So you let your mind's eye become the ultimate enemy. So let's just agree this morning we're not going to do that anymore, right? So that you can begin to look at your experiences, begin to look at the things that befall you in this particular moment and all the time and go, yeah, I got it. I have my T-shirt this morning for those of you not on the video. I have my T-shirt this morning talking about fate's nemesis. And even early, someone, when I was out this morning, someone stopped and said, oh, fate's nemesis. I like that. So, if fate's nemesis, now I remember a couple different people have said, oh, I would like to get a T-shirt like that. Leave me a note, a message, or this or that. Oh, speaking of messages, I've got a couple different things. Maybe we'll do that on Monday morning. We'll wait and see, and I'll thank those people. So for this morning's Lowlifes Making Headlines. Well, you know how we always do it on a Free for All Friday here. We say, okay, great. What is it that you want to talk about? So if there's a lowlife making headline, right? If there's a lowlife that you saw in the last couple of days, go, oh no, this is the real low life. Go ahead and nominate it now or throw it up in the thread now, and we'll be able to talk about it see what everyone else thinks about your pick for the lowlifes making headlines. Look at that. Perfect timing. Ian says, all politicians taking their Easter break. Not much happening for the last 2 weeks. So, Ian, dare I say that you're nominating politicians that take their Easter break before they do their job on the whole Brexit shindig. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, brother, but it might be that Ian is nominating for lowlifes making headlines. Just a general statement of politicians, right? And as we said before about the Mueller report, I'm just happy to live in a country, Ian, unlike yours, right? Unlike yours, sorry to say, I'm happy to live in a country where politicians put the people first, right? No, they're not going to, none of this political posturing, none of the rest of this. Our politicians, Ian, they're not like your politicians that have you vote on a particular thing and then just ignore your vote. No. Our politicians, salt of the earth, A-list people. I can't even get through that without chuckling to myself. This Mueller report, their heads are just going to spin off. They're just going to implode. And regardless of where you fall, in the, I'm a pro-Trump, I'm a anti-Trump, I like the Dems, I like the Republicans, I like this, I like that. Think about it for a moment. Right? Not unlike in your country, Ian, with Brexit. Stuff for us regular folks has just grind to a halt, right? Just stopped. Because they're busy, trying to politically posture for whatever their party, whatever their power, this and that. And I have to tell you, and I'd love your comment here in the thread. Can I tell you why I get up every morning going, oh, yeah, I couldn't care less. But after I remind myself I really couldn't care less, I hope they move because this is the greatest time in the history of the world to be alive. Just to show you how crazy some of these politicians are. Like I saw one yesterday. Let's talk about this. I saw one yesterday that's up, getting all the cameras, CNN. He's making this comment. He's making that comment. Now, and although I promised, right, I said earlier, and I said this a couple years ago, that I would stop mentioning Hank Johnson's name. I would not say on live air Hank Johnson. But this is the brainiac that in an interview, Hank Johnson, you know him, you love him. If you're from his district, you keep electing this moron, right? With all due respect to people such as me. You keep electing this moron. He is the one that when grilling a Pentagon general, I believe it was, honest to goodness, this isn't a Saturday Night Live skit. This is true. This happened. He grilled the general saying, well, if we put all these tanks, all these troop carriers, all these marine amphibious units and everything else on the island of Guam, are you aware of the fact that the island of Guam could tip over? So that's why when people say, oh, well, we need some kind of test. There's no test for politicians, right? Other than the fact that they couldn't get a job taking tickets at a major sporting event, right? Most politicians, at least. Right? So you get to this point where you go, wait a minute, a politician sitting, making the laws, thinks that if you put too many Marines on an island, it will tip over. This is the cutting edge mind, right? This is the creative cognition that we put in charge of us. So I think that's what we should do this morning. Unless anyone else has an objection, let's just make the lowlifes. All right, this just in, saved from the fire. I was doing a countdown, right? I was just getting ready to say, let's make politicians our lowlifes making headlines for this morning. Kathy says, seen it and still laugh about it. Old Hank, I know. And you know what? It's not fair to make fun of old people. But just how old are you, right? Because this is news everyone can use. How old are you when you begin to believe that an island can tip over if it's not weighted properly, right? Like now, look, I'm a big fan of quantum physics. I'm a big fan of studying what it's going to take to overturn quantum physics, right? So I get cutting edge science and you're all working, but wouldn't it just be great to see like the first tank drive on the island of Guam and then it tips like a seesaw up in the air? And then I'll have to do a drop the mic apology to good old crankin' Hank Johnson for saying the island would tip over. Wouldn't that be hysterical? But yes, seen it and still laugh about it. Old Hank. Ian says, biggest news now is the climate change protesters clogging up most of our capital. Well, here's the thing, Ian. If I can I read the tea leaves? Let me get my crystal ball here. Let me get my crystal ball. I love this crystal ball, by the way. Thank you, Jenny, very much. I love this crystal ball. I'll get my crystal ball out. Okay. Your protesters clogging your streets right now. Let me tell you what I'm seeing in the crystal ball. The protesters clogging the streets right now will not pick up any of the litter. Right? So they're going to protest climate change, be fair to the earth, be fair to the environment. The earth is going to shake us off like a dog with wet fleas. And I'm guaranteeing you'll get stuck with a bill, right? Just because, as I learned yesterday, I said here on the show, and then I put it on a Facebook post, people don't clean up after their own dogs. Distracted driving is the new norm. Like if you're eating a breakfast sandwich, putting on mascara, texting on your phone, looking at the GPS, you're busy reading bumper stickers, whatever it is, distracted driving is here to stay. Sad to say, but it's here. But one of the other things, in addition to the fact that people don't clean up after their dogs, you watch, Ian, all these people protesting climate change, it'll look like a tornado went through when they're done. All the trash, all the yuck, all the everything that'll be piled up on your streets. And if I'm wrong, I'll do an apology here. But you watch, here are the climate change protesters clogging up. And so maybe they're the lowlife making headlines this morning. So we could have climate change protesters that don't clean up after themselves, right? Like dog walkers here in Columbus that don't clean up after their dogs. And then, Brian, are you saying that climate change protesters are dogs? I'm not saying that. Although I do appreciate the hate mail. Keep it coming. Oh, and thank you so much for the rain alert. It's going to start raining here anytime, just so you know. I check for the weather alerts where you are. Just makes sense. Also, Kathy, good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is a rare day. I have both Kathy with a K and Kathy with a C joining us this morning. Thank you very much. So, Ian, you'll have to let us know after the protests calm down. What's going on with their trash, and did they clean up after themselves, or does everything become a porta-john? Right? Which I have to tell you, I'm kind of torn on that. This poor mom, and I wanted to do some research. Don't forget, we had a low-life making headline last week about the patrolman that arrested the pregnant mom and charged her because I think her 4-year-old, maybe a 5, maybe I'm pretty sure a 4-year-old, couldn't make it to the restroom, so he went. He urinated in the parking lot, and the cop arrested her and charged her for all kinds of things. And I'm thinking, how if humanity didn't when nature calls, right? That's what they say. When nature calls, when an emergency calls, we wouldn't have been here if people weren't peeing in the woods, right? If I'm just saying that. So, Kathy says that was hilarious yesterday. I turned you on and started poop scooping, and then you started talking about. I know, Kathy, like minds think, right? But what was fascinating to me is I'm out and about moving around, and for people that don't know, I'm doing the Mortal Up mobile campaign, right? Dare say that's helping to draw people in, because we're not getting any calls from all the radio stations we pitch. And Monday, I'm sad to say I'll be adding another radio station to 104.9 The River, Kumbaya for everybody but me. In Columbus. Sad to say, I have to add another radio station to the mix. And these I don't want to say pompous. I don't want to say arrogant. That's not right. Right. So forget I said pompous and arrogant. But right, even if you volunteer to empty trash cans, they can't just let you watch them work the board. They're such a celebrity that they can't even return your emails. And I go, okay, great. So. Okay, I stand corrected. Just when I think we've identified the lowlifes making headlines, right? These people, if we could just get out of our way, it would give us an opportunity to exercise our all-natural being. Ian says, protesters are super gluing themselves to shop windows. Well, look, they don't have to worry about a bikini wax, right? At least a back wax. As with pool weather coming, right? It's summertime soon. The people super gluing themselves to shop windows, they don't have to worry about having their back waxed. You know what I mean? Or maybe I could have done that. I could have super glued myself to a shop window and yanked away, and it could have yanked the tumor, or at least the swelling right out of me. Maybe I should have tried that. Oh, speaking of that, did you see the video on Facebook the other day where this person, don't want to say, because if I say it was a male or a female, they'll go, oh, you're just busy beating up on whichever sex it was. But this person was throwing a hatchet and they were doing it indoors, right? Throwing a hatchet into a target, throws the hatchet, doesn't hit it right. It hits, drops, ricochets back, and this person's got a duck, goes right over their head. So that's But again, I say, look, that we hit 6,000 over on the Brian Brain Trust, it shows you that 99.9% of humanity is just plain cool. Right? A majority of people just know they're just great people. And then you get some of these brainiacs like throwing a hatchet and have it ricochet back. Hank Johnson, whose name I'm not allowed to mention, saying the island of Guam will tip over the staff at 104.9 The River, right? Can't even return an email. And I'll tell you, I've read the email to some people and they go, that's just downright funny. Yeah. And I would be happy if 104.9 The River, if their attorneys sent me another letter saying, one, stop mentioning our name, and two, stop sending us funny emails, right? If I had gotten any response back, Ian says, dangerous hobby. Now, Ian, are you saying a dangerous hobby of throwing an axe indoors so it can ricochet on the floor and come back at you? Or are you saying it's a dangerous hobby super gluing yourself to shop windows? What are they going to do? So they've gotten tired of throwing park benches through shop windows, beating a defenseless pane of glass with a baseball bat, right? They've grown tired of that. So now they're going to super glue themselves. How do they see that working out other than like severe burns on their back? Or maybe they're super gluing their fronts. Right? Maybe they're super gluing their fronts to a store window. How do they see that working out? I don't get it. So, all right. So let's just do this so that we don't have to spend the whole morning talking about lowlifes making headlines. You know what? I had a tough night. If you want to give us a call, 833-646-3877, 833-MIND-UPS. Give us a holler if you want to, maybe you want to make a voice call and say who your lowlife making headlines are for this morning. If you want to do that, there's the number. Don't forget, if you're getting out and about and out the door, there's the QR code. So if you're watching here, hit the QR code on your phone. It'll pull the live feed directly up. Ian says both fairly painful. I would have to agree, but I would have to do a little bit of research, Ian, later on these people super gluing themselves. Although you have to admit, it would be a great commercial for like Gorilla Glue, Super Glue. What are some of the other ones? You know what I mean? You could say, look, chosen by 9 out of 10 English protesters when they wanted to affix themselves to a storefront window, right? That's a great commercial for those glue companies. And clearly they've been sniffing a little bit of it before they actually get to the storefront that they're going to glue themselves to. So that's good to know, right? The protesters there running around, some of them are high enough to be sampling the product before they get to the storefront window. And I have to ask, how does one pick what storefront window, right, do you super glue yourself to? Do you go, oh, well, you know what? I don't like the food there, so I'm going to super glue myself to the window. I just think it would be an excellent episode of The Walking Dead. Like, how cool would it be to go, oh, this guy's super glued himself to a window, so you walk by and you go, hey, nice to see you. How's that working out for you? Oh, yeah, I'm going to duck in and get a sandwich. Can I get you anything? Maybe like a spatula to peel some of the skin off your back so you can remove yourself from the window. That, right? It's just like that. Like, oh, this Walking Dead. Right? You just walk right by him and you go, hey, oh, you thirsty? Are you? Well, you know what I do when I'm thirsty? I jump in here and buy a pop. Oh, you can't because you super glued yourself to the window. Very nice. 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 And you know what? Future politicians. There you go. So, all right, let's wrap this up. Lowlife's making headlines. Here's the most important thing. Don't super glue yourself to a storefront window. It's not going to work out good for you. Although I have to ask, Ian, could they just step? No, they couldn't even step out of their clothing because if their clothing's super glued, that's not going to work either. All right, so here's the point we want to kind of kick around today. There are plenty of people in life that are laying in wait. We call them walking, talking Venus flytraps, right? That if you have the ability to put your heart's highest priority top of the list, there's always going to be naysayers. So what I have a couple different hopes, as I said yesterday in the mailpodcast.com, as I said in the interview with Pradeep Sangha. One, I hope I make it out of the Columbus Cranium Shack and Needle Emporium sometime, right? I make it out of there. And two, I think here's what I've decided. I've decided, because I keep having a dream, and it's so fascinating. I have these dreams, and then last night I'm sitting here, and one of my sons said, "Oh, well, today at school I was the lightning rod," and which caused the hair to stand up on the back of my neck. To be honest with you, because I've been having this dream. And all I see in the dream is a lightning storm, and I see a lightning rod, and then lightning hits the lightning rod, and blows up into the ground, and then I wake up, right? Because it's a shock, so I wake right up in it. But here's what I've been thinking. We're always going to have All Natural Being is always going to be a segment, what it is that you can do to put your heart's highest priority top of your list. I'm always going to believe in that. But I'm thinking that if I survive this next little shindig, I call it BTSD, as you know, the brain tumor shindig. If we survive this thing, I've decided coming back that I'm going to be a little more lightning rod, right? For all these people that want to be critical of humanity, all these people wanting to water down human wherewithal, all these people wanting to stand in the way of you exercising your ability to be brilliant, your ability to be passionate, your ability to do and say within reason, so as long as you're not hurting somebody else, do and say what you want in this life. I've decided that we're going to be a little bit more of a lightning rod, and what we're going to do is I'm going to go after some of these nuts, right? Because ultimately, if you we're enabling them. If you let these people continue to walk around and ruin your day, your week, your month, your year, you look back in your life and you go, yeah, let a nut ruin my life. I saw this article yesterday where they say that the real benefit of Twitter is for people stalking other people and harassing them and trying to get them to stop or to change their opinion or whatever else, because you get a little bit of a keyboard and you're able to sit there. So what I've decided to do, let me say good morning to Kelly. Kelly, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. What I've decided to do is be a little more lightning rod than usual. So for all these nuts that want someone to pick on, we're going to start, and I think Monday, unfortunately, right, it'll be a one-day show, but Monday will be a 1-hour show, and then when we come back, when we're fully cleared, when we come back, we're going to have a 1-hour show. It's going to be 1 hour every morning with a portion of it dedicated to lightning rods, so that all these nuts they want someone to pick on, they're welcome to call in and pick on me. I love the hate mail. I love the vitriol. I love the things that are directed at me. So please keep the hate mail coming, because we're going to need it for our lightning rod segment. Also, good morning to Karen. Karen, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. Kelly, morning to you as well. All right, so remember that as we move through this Good Friday weekend, as we move through this Easter weekend, remember, as I said to a friend yesterday, it's always darkest before the dawn. That's absolutely true. And Pradeep from mailpodcast.com asked me yesterday, he goes, well, is there any advice? And I go, one, I'm not big on giving advice, but two, live every moment like it's your last. As I am confronted, and even though we joke about the cooling off period, the do not resuscitate, these are real conversations I have to have. I'm coming up on the 5th time in my life, 5th blessing, right? The 5th time in my life where I've had to contemplate closing my eyes for the very last time, at least in this gig. So don't put yourself in a position to have to wonder one day, what if all of a sudden I realize I'm going to close my eyes for the very last time? As you look back, as you survey, as you take notes on your life, don't let there be anything that you didn't do, that you wanted to do. Don't let there be anything that you wanted to say that you didn't say. Don't let there be anything, right? Any activity that you're like, oh man, I wish I had tried that. Don't be like that. Live your life to the fullest. Channel your all-natural being. Make sure that you are always, at least for a 20-minute victory throughout the day, always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list. And as for your naysayers, the heck with them, right? People are gonna complain because people are gonna complain. But it's up to you and I to decide that when we're confronted with what very well could be, you never can tell, could be the very last time we get to close our eyes, at least in this life, that we've done it and we're able to say, you know what? I gave it everything. I I burned the candle at both ends. I drained absolutely everything I could out of this life. And don't let the lowlifes making headlines interrupt your plans for another stinking day, not another moment. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much for joining us. Have a great Easter weekend. If that's a holiday that you celebrate, have a great weekend all the way around. And then we will see you back for a 1 hour episode 456, the final, for a while at least, the final live episode of All Natural Being. Have an absolutely fantastic day.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
IPMNation.com.